Namaskar, good evening, and a very warm welcome to all our viewers on the 13th episode of Upaj. Uh, Today happens to be the birth anniversary of Pandit Kashinath Mukherjee, and we are extremely fortunate to have as our guest one of his foremost disciples, whose Surbahar you just heard. Please welcome Sri Souravbrata Chakraborty. Uh, Before we begin with this evening's proceedings, there is another announcement that I am very happy to make. The team of Upaj, that is Swarnabha, myself, and Chitrayud, we have started with a series of master classes by the name of Marg Darshan, and our first master class is going to happen on February 6th, which is a Sunday, with the very same guest whom we had for our first episode, that is the violin exponent Maestro Indradeep Ghosh. Please find all the details in the posters in my page or Swarnabho's page or Chitrayud's page. At this point, I guess Swarnabha would like to get on with the proceedings.
Firstly, we are really glad to have Shri Souravbrata Chakraborty Dada with us here on Upaj
Thanks.
for the 13th episode. Welcome, Dada. You and I
Thanks.
go a long way back. So,
Yes.
since I was a little kid, I've been fortunate enough to know you and be close to you and interact
Me
with
too.
you a lot of times. But this is the first time I'm getting to ask you questions directly in a formal interview. So it will be really fun.
Not that formal, is it?
Let's see, that
I
only
think
time will tell.
Right.
So, Dada, without any delay, I would like to proceed to the first question, which is the question we ask every artist who comes here. Uh, Please tell us about your musical beginnings and the very first lessons in music that you had received.
thanks both of you. Actually,
My
my
pleasure.
paternal side uh, was not a musical family in that sense because uh, they all loved normal Hindi songs, Hemantumbati songs, basic songs, Samuel Mitro, all those 70s, 60s era great personality. But classical music, they had no connection. Only my grandfather's one brother was a great Dhrupad singer, but he lived in Godpad near Paramahansa Yogananda's house. Godpad means in APC Road, which was little far from my house, and I only heard stories of that from my grandfather, who used to sing Kali Kirtan and etc. and used to teach me. He never practiced for a single day. He just used to go to the Kali Kirtan Samiti and other. He used to sing and do some sort of uh, theatrical acts, all amateur. But since I was born in 84, so 85, 86, 87, that time he used to tell that, my brother used to sing Drupad, and he was, I should mention, he was a great friend of Acharya Prafulla Chandra Ray, great scientist, and he was a very devoted listener of Drupad music at that time, classical music, I should say. So, and my grandfather's brother was blind, so he used to say that atta used to. And I used to ask silly questions. Why atta in Pakwaj they should apply, etc. But I had the urge from the very beginning to pursue music, but it didn't happen because my father was a businessman, and my uncles they were all in business. So, but when I used to go to my maternal side, when I used to go to my maternal uncle's house, my maternal grandfather was a great sitar player, which I came, which I knew, but how great he was, it became clear after I think 20 years maybe. So I saw great photos of great maestros like Nisar Hossain Khan Sahab, Hafiz Ali Khan Sahab, Abdul Karim Khan Sahab, Pandit Ravi Shankar Ji's, Vilayat Khan Sahab, all those photos in his music room. And he used to teach a lot. Because my maternal grandfather's house was very near from Besu. So in those time, every young chap, I should not say every young chap, but those who are interested in classical music, all they wanted to be Ravi Shankar Ji or Vilayat Khan Sahab. They were inspired, and they used to learn a lot. I heard from my mother that may, lot of students used to come at that time. I am telling about late 60s to early 80s. My grandfather taught there, and I saw in 87, 88 some 2, 3 students used to come and play sitar. I used to disturb them a lot, but I had that urge. But my mother never allowed because they thought that he is from not that family, and he can't pursue. So in 94, 95, I used to play that sitar. My maternal grandfather died in 95, and I used to play by own. If when I go to my maternal house, I used to practice play, but that is very casual. So
So, can you tell us
suddenly my
more about
huh?
what you use? Can you tell us more about what you used to play? So, was it some gat or was it
Yes.
some
No, no,
exercise?
no, no. Yes, I used to play. I used to tune. I used to try to tune my instrument and play sare gama nisa pama gare sa ni sare gama pa ni sa ni pama gare sa. This type of exercise,
Right.
or that gamot gat re pa ma pa 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 gama. Basic things which I heard at that time. So my grandmother that told my mother that you should teach him music. So my mother told, no, no, we are from not that family. He will not be able to pursue me. No, he understood my character, some sort of. So then I also began to cry and say that no, I want to learn sitar, etc., etc. Then my mother took me to Pandit Monilal Nagji, and formally my training started. But beforehand, my mother showed me how to wear mizra. Uh, I had formal training of 2, 3 months from her, regular. So as my mother was teaching to me, I was not serious at that time. As you know, my mother is teaching, so that means it can happen at any time, etc. So when I went to Pandit Manilal Lak, I played one Tilak Kamat Ghar, very basic ghar, and he told me, who taught you? Man? My mother taught me. So he told that, no, no, I will teach you, but you have to start from the very beginning. And it of course it's I played beforehand. I used to play like when any maths teacher or any English teacher gives homework, so I used to play like a homework lesson. But after going to Pandit Monilal Nagji, I had some sort of, I should say, the most obscure talim I got from, because he used to teach me alap at that time, and alap, Jod, Jhala, Jhala, because he was a master of Jhala, and he has great mastership, and he taught me many Jhala prakars and Alap regular, and I used to wait for his classes. So my talim started like that, little lately, but it started very in a very good hand.
Uh, so at this point, please tell us more about, because you said your talim, formal talim sort of started with Pandit Motilal Lag. As we all know, a lot of your contemporaries, who all of whom are excellent sitar players. For instance, we have had Sri Shamunna Shorkar as our guest. He started his talim with Pandit Motilal Lag.
No,
And
no, he
then
had
there is
he had his talim previous sitar player from Ajay Singh, or maybe I'm wrong, but he studied with a good sitar player beforehand.
then
But I had
then
studied
there were,
just very beginning,
I mean,
but very
what I'm trying to
elementary
say
sitar.
What I'm trying to say is a lot of today, the good sitar players or the prominent sitar
Yes,
players of
yes, yes.
today, quite a lot of them started their talim with Pandit Munidal Nag. So, what do you think was special about his method of talim
Uh,
that so
because
many
you
of
know,
his students became prominent sitar players of today?
yes, yes, very true. During 70s, 80s, 90s, Pandit Motilal Nagji taught a lot of lot of great series of students, I should say, because 90% sitar players were his students at that time.
Exactly, that's what
Because
I'm trying to say. Yeah.
from North Calcutta to South Calcutta to East Calcutta, and because he was, I should say, he was one of the great icon who used to teach and who used to perform simultaneously a lot. So both the inspiration I think a student can get, and he used to teach whatever he used to play, like unlike other artists who play something else and teach something else. It was not like that, and he was a very and you can share anything with him. He was he didn't had any type, although he is and also was a great maestro in his own right, but he didn't had any fancy. I think that's the reason, because a lot of people, and at that time, internet that was not popular, and so talim, which uh, which is very, I think, nowadays became very common word. Talim is, I should say, uh, that phenomena was limited between very few noted artists. So he belonged to that group. So that's why
Right.
he was so popular. And his style actually was very similar with Pandit Nikhil Banerjee's style. And we Kolkatans are fond of that style. We
Very
worship.
true.
So after Nikhil Banerjee, Pandit Monilal Lagji primarily was the top sitar player in that style, I should say.
At this point, I
That's
think
the reason.
there is one more relevant question. We all know that the sitar that Pandit Monilal Nag plays has an extra Komal Ray fret. So, did you use that fret while you were learning
No,
from
no,
him?
he never told us to put that ray. He used to believe in all India basis rule, I think.
I see.
Actually, he told me that ray is for, when I asked him, he told me that that ray is for only playing Vairavi That rags, which has both both ray. I think some Asavarika Prakar has both ray.
Yes,
So to play those kind of rag, this Komal Rays was there.
I see.
Also, Pandit Soumitra Laidi, he's one of his favorite student. He never played with Komal. I think
Right.
he was, Pandit Soumitra Laidi was the, I think he was greatest performer ever born in Bishnupur Gharana after Nag family.
Very true. Very true. Sharnavu, maybe you would like to.
So, Dada, after you received talim from Pandit Manilal Nagji, you went on to receive talim from Pandit Kashinath Mukherjee, Kashi Jetu, and how was that entire shift? Because it's a huge paradigm shift from a completely different style of sitar playing to another polar opposite side.
No, I should say that Pandit Manilal Lagji's style, Pandit Kashinath Mukherjee style, Pandit Santosh Banerjee style, Pandit Bimal Mukherjee style, like I'm saying about both Bimalenduji and Bimal and Pandit, huh, all in that era, uh, there was great similarity of playing because uh, although it is Imdad Khani Gharana, I found drastic similarity between Pandit Manilal Lal, Pandit Santosh Banerjee, Pandit Kashinath Mukherjee, because they they don't dwell on much pulling, and their strokes were different. Their thought process also has some sort of similarity, but initial practice and talim were different. That's the reason. And I didn't had much problem because Pandit Maninal ji, what he taught me is like more alap, jod, jhala. And I should say in 2001, after passing class 10, I stopped for 4 to 5 months learning sitar due to 10th examination. So after that, when I went to him, he told that he has had some sort of problem in his, uh, I think, in his knee. He had some sort of joint problem, so he is not able to take class. So I shifted to Kasinath Mukherjee because I wanted to learn from Vilat Kasab, but my mother told that you have to continue your studies. So study from any great exponent who lives nearby. So I went Pandit Kasinath Mukherjee's tutelage, and I had to wait for a year, and then I started. But there
Okay,
I had the chance to learn Gatkari a lot. After that, I learned Alap after 5 years.
I see. So
That Gatkari system, I learned only Reza Khani and uh, some elementary Mosid Khani got from Pandit Maninath. So
I see.
the rag Poniran Moniral Lagji will perform in radio because at that time he used to play two cut in every month. Uh, so he used to teach us that rag, and I learned Ahil Lalit in '98,
Wow.
Dev Gandhar, and Kirwani. After Puradhani Sri Meg, after Puradhani Sri Meg, Miyaki Tori, Gurje Tori, all Dire Dire Dar Dar Da Dadri Darada, and some Masjid Khani got made by him. I learned. He used to teach Masjid Khani got made by him. Vilambit Gat, I should say, because he didn't believe in Dereda, 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 Dara. But on the contrary, Kasije too believed much more in Dereda, 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 Dara. So he
Right.
because in Enath Khasa style, you have some sort of copybook precision playing elementary. You have to practice. So that thing is very essential. So that thing I
Right,
found in
even
Pandit
the
Kasinath.
Gattoras that we learned, the old Gattoras in
Yes,
more or less
you know,
a
because
faster Vilambit
uh,
lay.
Right.
yes, yes, yes,
So did that
exactly. Because
transition because
Bimal Jetu from Supranil learn from Bimal Jetu. So you learn from Supranil. You know
Yes,
that.
I
Ah,
like had the opportunity of learning those Gattoras
sound is not
from.
coming properly.
Hello,
I can
hello.
hear
Yes,
him
yes.
clearly. Yeah. So
Yes,
there is
yes. So I
another.
had
There
the
must have been
opportunity of.
Can you
another.
hear? Yeah.
Uh, there must have been another difference because the, Pandit Manilal Nagji plays what we call a Kharaj Pancham sitar, but Pandit Kashinath Mukherjee definitely used to play Gandhar Pancham. So did you also switch to
Here I
Gandhar
told
Pancham when
that.
you went to learn from him?
Yes, I switched to Gandhar Pancham. But I should say, other Gandhar Pancham sitar which you hear now, my playing and my Guru Bhai's playing are all different. Because I should say, the stroke pattern. Stroke pattern, if you hear Kashinath Babu, my Guruji, his stroke patterns and Pandit Manilal's stroke patterns almost same. They do not believe in to give force, deliberate force, which nowadays sitar player do. We all do, but more or less, deliberate force giving this came, I think, uh, after I should say after Bandhjwari, the advent of Bandhjwari is Bandhjwari. I do not know English what you said, but after in Bandhjwari you have to give strengthful stroke, otherwise you can't play. But in those days, I have my Kashijetu Sitar. He gifted me his one of his sitar. So I if even now also I cannot do Bandhjwari in that sitar. Those sitar were made also in a different manner. Some sort of difference is there, which in nowadays with nowadays Gandhar Pancham.
Were they more similar to the Senia sitars of the old days?
No, 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 no. That Sannyasita system is purely different. But some sort of resemblance is there
Hmm.
because precision was there in stroke. Much precision in Senias, but Pandit Manilal Lakji also, he never told me, but he used to give that. You see, when I'm doing alap, you give this type of stroke. But at that time, I was also very young. Later, when I learned from Pandit Nitai Bose, he told me for 2 years how to give stroke in all 24 notes. There is practice actually.
Right. So,
There is a type of practice, special practice to do because Senia, you cannot say Senia. Jaipur Senia has a particular type of practice process. Senia Maihar has a different approach, and Rampur Senia also has some sort of different approach. Yes.
Now,
so
Dada, Kashi Jethu and Vilayat Khan Sahab both were heavily inspired by Ustad Amir Khan Sahab's Gaiki in their playing. So, when
Yes.
you learned from Kashi Jethu,
Hmm.
did you observe any difference in the interpretation and implementation of Amir Khan Sahab's Gaiki than what is there in Vilayat Khan Sahab's playing?
Yes, Kashiyetu never copied Vilayat Khan Sahab. He tried to imbibe. He told me that in his 30s he used to copy, but later he found his own way after learning from Amir Khan Sahab. He has a peculiar temperament, not very common in nowadays. You can see my Obigda, my Guru Bhai, he has that type of temperament. When I hear Obigda, I found some sort of reminiscence with my Guruji. It's playing.
right. So, the at this point, maybe, but then you see the interpretation, because the way you learned, it must have come across as different. But when somebody is listening to uh, sitar recital by Ustad Vilayat Khan and sitar recital by Pandit Kashinath Mukherjee, so what difference is a listener likely to observe in the two interpretations?
If you do not tell a listener that Pandit Kashinath Mukherjee is not a disciple of Vilayat Khan Sahab, he will not able to know. The thing is that Guruji means Kashijetu never he told me very personally. I should say now because after 2 3 years he will become 100. So I do not have any fear now. So he told me very personally that in 40s he started learning from Vilayat Khan Sahab. At that time he used to copy a lot. He told me Vilayat Khan Sahab first in his first concert series he played one in near Kalighat. After listening him, he became very much attracted towards sitar, and he played those Inat Kasab style tihais. That time Vilayat Kasab used to play a lot of tihai and all pre-composed tihai Inat Kasab style, which he played very less in 60s, 70s, 80s, because he had also gone a transition period. His playing also transformed a lot. And Kashitu told me that in 50s I tried to follow from Amir Khan sahab, and I tried to follow the Gaiki Ang in a true way, because he has all technical talim previous from his previous guru like Srinivas Nag, Vilayat Khan Sahab. Then he tried to make a niche, because Radhika Mohan Moitra told him that if you copy a lot Khan Sahab, you will become a poor imitation of Vilayat Khan Sahab, which will be a great shame to Bengal. So follow, try to follow your mind and try to follow your way. And sorry, try to follow your mind and um, try to imbibe some good gaiki, so that your playing or play with your playing, it can prove some sort of what to say, it's not coming in my mind, but means some sort of uniqueness.
Dada, can you tell us that while you were in the Etawah Gharana, we all know that we follow a lot of Khayal. We are more inclined towards Khayal music. Now, what made you choose Dhrupad after that, after such a long association with Khayalang?
No, you see, Kasijetu died in 2011 November. I had the urge to play Surbahar from 1998 after listening Imrat Khasab's uh, playing, and long, nowadays Doordarshan, they don't telecast. They had a long interview with Subrata Rai Chaudhary. There he played one Yaman 15 minutes alap. Oof, means whenever I used to listen that, I was in transformed to a different world. But Surbar was it's a customary instrument. My mother told, no, if he plays surba, then he will stop his studies. So in 2005, I bought a surba, and I bought that surba to progress more in alap. Honestly, I should say, but because I had the good fortune to learn a lot from yesterday's ustas and pandits. I should say acharyas, great gurus. So from Nitai Bose, uh, I used to go his house every day almost. He used to live in Paikpara. He was one of the great Shagird of Ustad Mustaq Ali Khan sir. So he told that don't play surba like that. Like don't allow surba play, because you are playing anything which you are playing in sitar, you are playing in surba. So try to learn. He just said it. He didn't told me to learn from me. So I told Kasi Jetu that I want to learn also surbar from you, because Etawah Gharana has a tradition of surbar playing. And Kachiri told, no, I don't play, that is imposter Sulbar playing, I don't do. Hello, why? No, 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 I play only sitar. Hello, you have Surbar, I saw in your bedroom. So you see, I also practice by my own to make my sitar alap better. To try to find a different guru to learn Surbar. So that time people were very honest. He openly told me that I give you permission. So I got the permission. I went to Bahauddin Dagar Sahib in 2011 to learn, and in July, and he died in November. I didn't had the interest to learn sitar from anyone else, because I had simultaneous talim with Pandit Nitai Bose and Dr. Pradeep Kumar Chakraborty from Maihar Gharana, and Pandit Nitai Bose from Jaipur Senior Gharana. So I had the interest to learn more. So I switched to Surbahar, and I played sitar, but I concentrated more on Surbahar from 2011 itself.
So, uh, subsequently, you went to learn from the Gundecha brothers, late Ramakant ji and
Late.
Umakant ji.
No,
So,
later I went. I went in 2013, I think.
right. So,
Yes.
how difficult was it to adjust to this their style of performance, their style of music, their style of development? So, how did the talim happen? Because there must have also been the pitch difference. Because Surbahar, I don't know what pitch do you play in.
G sharp now.
So,
Previously I
their
used to play in G sharp, and also in between I played in
so
A.
their pitch was or is more
C.
like C D in that range.
C
So,
C C C sharp. Uh,
so
because
how did
in
you
Drupad
adjust?
style voice culture, a singer can go to any extent. he can lower his voice if he has a good talim of voice culture. But Guruji in his latter days didn't get much time to do that type of practice, and he was very busy. So he used to stick in C and C sharp. But scale was not the factor. He used to teach me in G sharp by singing. Ramakanji always
Oh,
sang in G sharp, yes, and Umakanji also G sharp they sang. They used to ask which scale you want your talim. Uh, I know one cello player lady. She used to come, so she has, I think, F sharp she used to play. So Guruji used to sing according to that. Even I saw
that is
Fariduddin Nagar Sahib also singing at F sharp.
that is
You know,
fantastic.
if you want to play an instrument very truly according to its style, so you have to go there master to learn. There is no
That
other
is
shortcut. So I
that is
had done the same thing. I went to them later because I approached Guruji. I have to tell the truth. After learning from Fariduddin Dagar Sahib, my father told that, I can't support your music now. So I had some economical problem. So I approached Guruji once came to that time I was learning with Bahaduddin Dagar and Fariduddin Dagar Sahib. So Guru Ramakant Umaganji came to visit him. So he saw me practicing. So we had a talk and he gave me his number. So I called him that can you afford me any institution where I can teach sitar? So he told that in our institution you can teach because I also need a good proficient sitar player who can teach basic sitars to my students who want to learn Surbahar from me. So I actually went to Drupad Samsthan as a teacher. But after the demise of Fariduddin Dagar Sahib, I thought that he has so much to do. He means he knows us. He Ramakant Guruji never played Ween. I don't know he never played or not. But whenever I heard him, the great deep knowledge of Rudra Veena he had. So I tried to imbibe that, and I told Ramakant Guruji that I want to
I
learn
think
from him.
they also had a lot of talim from Bade Ustad Ziamuddin
Ziamuddin Dagar
Dagar
Sahib.
Sahib.
Yes, yes,
Right.
yes. That's the reason behind it. Exactly. Exactly. Actually, Rudravina is a concept. You cannot confine Rudravina in Rudravina instrument. It's a concept. Alauddin Khasa conceptualized that concept to many instruments.
Right.
So here also, but I should say my 90% of uh, mediocre, please pardon me, mediocre artists belong from Mayar Gharana, but they didn't had that perfection. I do not want to go to any controversy, but you have to learn Drupad separately. I had to learn
Indeed.
because systematic approach was different. What you were asking, Anirban, I will try to give the answer.
Yes.
That Kashijetu never taught us with Tanpura. He used to say Sut chhado, and we used to plug the jodi string and he used to sing. I had learned after Manilal Nagji normally from veteran artists mainly. So they used to sing a lot. They were not in a position to play. If something I
Agree.
cannot play, he will take the sitar and show me. But normally they used to sing. So, but interesting thing I'm telling. Ashetu never taught us with Tanpura, electronic Tanpura or any Tanpura. So he used to tell me with Jodi, and he used to make some work with, he used to sing like this. The like this. So we have to copy that in Alap. And Gat you will he used to pronounce like like this. But Ramakant Guruji taught us the concept is very different in Veena and Drupad. He used to teach like this, the fast Dhaivat should, or in Vilas Kaintori, as I sang Vilas Kaintori, the fast Dhaivat of the Vilas Kaintori should resonate like Vilas Kaintori. It should, that Dhaivat should be of that clan of the Raga. That element should be there. You cannot play a single note according to your wish. You have to find that previously and you have to because everything should be detailed, and in his method of teaching and in his concept, everything should be detailed, and it should have all the mm, grandeur a Drupad style should proclaim.
Dada, is there any specific aspect of presentation that your Guruji wanted to focus on while teaching you?
Which Guruji?
Ramakant
Ramakanta
Guruji.
Mohanji.
Yes, actually, he one funny incident I should share, like Nisad of Yaman. When I was teaching Sitar there, so suddenly I heard that he was teaching Yaman, and he scolding that man that no, Nisad is not correct. Although he is playing that Shuddha Nisad. When then I went with my sitar, and I told that is this Nisad is correct. But no, this is not correct. And why I am playing for 15 years? There is any, and because Nitai Posji told me that only Dagars can tell you this concept, nobody else. After my demise, you should learn from Dagars. But it's what's not possible due to some problem. So I was taken aback, and it took 1 month to find that Nishad of Yaman. So then I surrendered to him to teach me. I am in your feet. Teach me what you can, as your wish.
So I remember. I mean, I don't know if I should be doing this, but this makes it a bit informal. So you were once telling me over phone about this contour mapping of swaras that you were taught. Can you please elaborate
Contour
upon that?
means, Dagar style is that when you went to any place, you have some sort of, the contours of that place. That lane will go here from there. Some sort of map is in your mind. You should make clear that map. The raga map should be clear. All the phrases, and it. But you can. It's not that you have to play this phrase after that. If you practice in a very systematic manner, then automatically number two phrase will come after number one. You don't have to hang for that. But if you practice in a very haphazard manner, so you have to think that after that what, after that what, after that what. I think that thing, that is the contour which I am telling. Like I should give. Tanpura is not there, but I will try to give one example. Like in Bilas Khaintori, sa re ga ga re na. This is Kashi style, but Guru Ramakant Guruji always encourage the Surbahar style. Sa this is the difference.
So because we were talking about differences, so please elaborate more on how Surbahar playing is different in the Etawah Gharana versus the Dagar style of presentation. So what are the technical differences that one primarily observes?
It's not coming clearly. Can you please ask the
Uh,
question again?
can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Am I? Yeah. Okay. So what I am saying is that
No, I can't
bec-
hear.
is it
It's
still not audible?
the
Uh,
frequency is soft frequency. I can hear.
oh, I think there might be a problem with the internet in that case. Is the audio still breaking?
Can
Is
you
it
hear
any
me?
better now? Yes, we can hear you perfectly. Swarnabha, am I audible?
Yes, yes, I can hear both of you.
Uh, is it any better now?
Shall I give the answer? I understood the question.
Yes, please. Yes, please. We can hear you perfectly. So yes.
Yes, yes. I will try to give the answer. You know, the Surbahar style of Etawah Gharana is a different subject from the Surba style of Dagar and Senia Gharana. S- Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can. So
Am I
yes,
clear?
yes, you
Yes,
are.
yes.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Uh, So the style of Surbahar playing in Imdad Khani is very different from Senia and Baj. Imdad Khan Sahab, history says that Imdad Khan Sahab listened to the Surbahar of Ustad Sajjad Muhammad Khan Sahab, who used to who was who uh, who came in Calcutta after Lucknow uh, after the after the Lucknow court came here during Nawab of Lucknow. I forgot his name. Wajid Ali Khan sahab. Wajid Ali Shah. So Wajid Ali Shah, but he went to other court. I think in Jotindra Mohan Tagore's house. He was teaching there. So Imdad Khan sahab used to listen him in a different manner. He used to wear socks and used to go because Sajan Muhammad Khan sahab was very strict. He didn't allow anyone to listen him other than the Raja. So the Surendramohan Tagore told Imdad Khan Sahib that you have talent, you listen to him, and he listened a lot. And Imdad Khan Sahib was a great talented artist, so he picked up the Talim of Surbahar like that. And he actually, I had done research on Surbahar, and I found that the tarab strings of Surbahar were I think the concept of that tarab strings came from Imdad Kasab's playing sarangi. Imdad Kasab used to previously play sarangi,
Right.
so he allowed tarab strings in Surbahar and made its dimension broad. But he made the Surbahar. His style was towards sitar, but Surbahar is from Lucknow. Surbahar born in Lucknow from under Ghulam Muhammad Khan's Umrao Khan. Umrao Khan was a Seni Binkar, and his student Ghulam means he used to give seva or to his student a lot that his name became Ghulam. So Ghulam Muhammad Khan went to Umrao Khan to learn Surbahar, Veena, but he didn't taught him. And Ghulam Muhammad Khan Sahab's son was Sajjad Muhammad Khan Sahab. So in Senia style, those overtones and the stylistic alap, according to Rudravina, they play. Their attention was on that. So both the playing style is very different. And Imdad Khan Surbahar is not popular because after the demise of Wahid Khan Sahab and Imrad Khan Sahab, because Ishadji stays in Canada. So I think uh, true disciple of Surbahar of Imdad Khani Gharana is very rare nowadays. But in other styles you can find.
That is true.
This is the difference.
At this
Yes.
point, we'll probably have a glimpse of your own playing once more. This is Darbari Jod, which let's just play it, I guess.
Okay, Dada, so since we are in the Dhrupad zone, I'll be asking you more questions about Dhrupad itself. So let's talk about the development of guts and Chautal. Now, how closely
Not
do
just
these guts?
Chautal, Dhamar, all of that.
Yeah, yeah, the traditional Dhrupad compositions, instrumental compositions. Now, how were they born? Were they inspired by the vocal compositions in Dhrupad, and like what were the changes and alterations that had to be made to
Yes.
like compose these guts?
Hmm. Uh, Firstly, I should say Drupad style is also, you can refer that Drupad style is much more common in instrumental section because all sitar players, sarod players, violin players, any instrumentalist plays alap jod jhal, uh, which comes under Drupad style. But Drupad alap jod jhala is different. Why different? I told previously that Swarved, Kaku, Swarkaku, Gram, Murchana, all these things matters because you have to pass your car from these checkposts. Then you play. So some sort of mental preparation is also there in this type. In Surbahar you can play Drupad. In Sarod you cannot play Drupad. Pure Drupad you cannot play. Or Bean style. Pure Bean style you cannot play. Like da 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 da. This style cannot be played in Surbahar. This is purely Sarod style and Maiha style. And Dadra, these Krintans, double Krintan, which is known as Jamjama, it is this is inspired from which singing style? This is inspired from which singing style? This is inspired from Tappa, Punjabi Tappa. Like Buddhaditya Mukherjee plays which Tappa, you will see this Alankaran he plays by pulling. So previously pulling was not very frequent in those sitars. So that's why these kirtans were there.
I see.
In Surbahar, in Rudravina, in Susringar, I should not say in Susringar, in Rabab, means Seni Rabab, you can play Drupad style. Because you need, your swar needs actually the effect of 3 octaves. Am I able to
Okay.
explain?
Yes.
Little bit. Because when you're playing Sa, Tarab is just giving tarab is helping that thing to make loud, but the surbar is built in such a way that if you are playing sa in madhya saptak or tar saptak, all the 3 saptak sound is generating from that note, and it
Right.
is designed or engineered like that. A surbar cannot be a sitar because if sometime I casually I played some gods in surbar, but I will never play such in any serious baitaks, you know, because Surbahar stroke patterns, Surbahar the movement of swars, all are different in respect with sitar. So the gut will be also different, and traditional Chautal Drupad, which has age old mark, according to me, it is I should say it is a block of pure gold. You can make your bangle according to it, according to your own choice. So traditional Drupad, the again I am telling that contours of that song, traditional Drupad song, you can break it and you can make your composition. Ustad Bahauddin Nagar told me that the structure, there is no structure like dire da dire da da ra dire dire da 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 dire da ra da. Traditional composition, like one composition I should say, uh, like the Chanat, which I play very. It is actually a Navapasan Gat of Tintal. Da 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 ra da ra da dri da ra da dhamar. So but Nawab Pasand Gat was in 16 beat. I made it dhamar. I tailored the Gat because it is an age-old composition. Da from some it is beginning. Da da ra da da ra da da ra da 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 ra da ra da tri da ra da total.
So
So
the here I think, because when it is sung in vocal music, when a chautal composition or a dhamar composition is sung in vocal music, the improvisation focuses a lot on usage of words, and you know the tihais that are also employed, they are used in such a way that the words sort of make sense, and the tihai is
yes,
often of the
absolutely,
words and not the calculation. So
exactly.
i- is it
Actually, in
necessary
Chautal,
to?
there is actually the tradition is that you should play Chautal in a very austere manner, very less tihai, very less roaming around here and there. Tihais are profusely around in Thamar or in Sadra. You see, Sadra has two both the characteristics, like Chautal characteristic and Thamar characteristic. You can
Yes.
play, you can see when a Sadra being sung, um, uh, first during the first phase, you see very, airy improvisation, and then they go to Tihai and all those things. So it has both
That is true.
Drupad and Dhamar character.
uh, but then the thing is, because
Sadra means 10 matra
you know
composition. You should know
right,
that.
right. Because all the all the effect of the words has to be produced with the stroke, with the misrab. So
Yes.
do you feel any sort of deficiency because you are not being able to speak, and
No,
you
because
just have da ra in diri?
yes, yes. Because
So
Surbahar has Dara, Daga, Dagara, Radaga, Gadara, Dara, and you can use three fingers. I had the Talima Mustaq Ali Khan type style, so I don't play that, but I know in some ragas I do. So uh, Dara Dara, if you do it, it has some sort of sitar flavor. So Dara Dara
okay.
is for I think sitar, but if Dara Dara you can do if you have learned under Drupad any good Drupad maestro or Binkar, or you can play Dara Dara. The bouquet will like according to your talim. If a sitar player is playing Dara Dara, if a surbar playing Dara Dara, there is a difference. I should say
Right.
because in surbar I play like in sultal composition I play tans, but those tans are very restrained to a certain style. I cannot like play like I cannot play this thing in sur. I can play
Right.
sa sa da pa ma pa ma 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 re sa ni sa 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 da pa ga ma re sa ni sa ma re like this.
Right. Uh, so does that also change when you are playing in Chotal? Because again, it's a wholly different
But
dynamic.
Chotal is a very austere style. In Chotal,
Yeah.
you have to follow the uh, the contours of the song, and you can add some instrumental improvisation according to your talim. Chautal is based on I should say talim and practice. And but in dhamar or in 11 beat, in 17 beat tal, sikar tal, you can show your इसको कल्पना शक्ति बोलते हैं हिंदी में. You can show your imagination much more.
At this point, again, I guess we shall have a video. This one is a Dhamar composition that you played in Rageshri.
Yes.
So here it is.
it's very embarrassing to hear. I said,
Why would you be embarrassed to hear that? That's so wonderful playing. It's
thanks,
really
thanks.
wonderful. Uh, so, Dada, you are an alumnus of the Rabindra Bharati University. Now, we all know this institute has a very rich legacy of music. So, how was your experience of being a student there?
Oh, great experience because I was learning from Pandit Kashinath Mukherjee at that time, and I should say I had learned from a friend of my grandfather's friends, Sri Kaushik, who was disciple, whose father was disciple of Ustad Wahid Khan Sahab. And I had very limited, I should say, I had learned at that when I go to at that time when I used to attend university. I had attend uh, when I used to attend other professors' class. So I used to think that I had learned nothing at that time because so much varied tal there was people practicing, and Debasis Bhattacharya teaching, um, Pandit Debasis Bhattacharya Sarod, and Pandit Deepak Chaudhary, Pandit Sanjay Bandyopadhyay. Uh, so I found a galaxy of teachers and a galaxy of talim there. But honestly, I should say Pandit Devashish Bhattacharya has taught us a lot. He used to take regular practical classes, and I had enriched a lot from him. If Rabindra Bharati University wouldn't have been there, then a very good amount of talim I would have missed. Uh, this is very true. But in other respects, Rabindra Bharati University, when I was there, regular classes was not there in other subject, in other theories part. But it's okay. Some sort of guidance I got, which still I tackle those days.
On these lines, since we are talking about talim, you have also been very active as a music instructor. And do you feel that music teachers need to adapt to the changing times? अभी सब कुछ digital हो रहा है ज़्यादातर. Like in order for this music to survive, is it possible?
Classical
Maybe.
music, you're
Yes.
telling about classical. Yes, digital platform is very useful, and I am using digital platform, but I was not very. I'm not still tech savvy, but I Ramakanji told me in 2014 that use online teaching. Try to do online teaching; it will be good for you. So I had started at that time, but two or three students used to take talim from me. But later, after I joined my job, and simultaneously I was teaching online. But after this advent of COVID-19, I think 90% of students have those who used to come offline also. I am teaching totally in online, and in both from public sector and government sector, they should inspire the performing artist to perform and to teach also. This I want to tell because I I had taught in many reputed schools also as a sitar and sorrow instructor and vocal instructor. I had worked, but you see, in schools and colleges, people want that the teacher should teach only, but if you not perform, then that teaching quality also becomes less. Uh, so the teacher should allow to should get the allowance to, but they should allow a teacher to play or to perform twice in a month. There is no harm in that because indirectly the students will get that good talim and very talim is not just transferring your knowledge. That knowledge should contain some sort of energy. So
This,
if
I
the
guess,
teacher is
takes us back to why Pandit Manilal Nag has been so successful as a guru that you were telling. I mean, he was
exactly
not just a teacher, he was also a performer. So
great point,
that
yes.
is the thing that needs to come, is probably what you're saying, right?
Yes, yes, yes. A teacher should be a performer in any subject he is teaching. Otherwise, a theoretician, totally a theoretician cannot teach any performance student.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, and also I should say, um, musicology has to do with practical aspect also. I should say one incident. Acharya Brihaspati ji once attended a concert of Ziamuddin Dagar sir. I heard this story from Ramakant Gundeja ji, that he was playing in a green room, and Acharya Brihaspati ji told that, when you play Sangeet Ratnakar, the treatise of Sangeet Ratnakar becomes alive. How? So what is your grade in radio? So Ustadi told her, no, I do not have any grade. So wait for a minute. He took his bag and wrote that, I had in my pad I have written, you are not top grade. So that's the thing. Uh, those treatises of musicology should come alive to you. Then there is success in musicology, and the Drupad style can do this. All these, I'm not going in deep. All these things, Ramakanji and Umakanji taught us, which I am teaching. That's why I'm not performing sitar a lot, because if I perform sitar a lot for my sake, uh, there is a monetary loss. But for my sake, if I perform only sitar for a mere entertainment, to entertain all, then these aspect will go to oblivion. Surely, my aspect means whatever I have learned.
So, continuing along these lines, because there is a lot of talk about how Dhrupad music is slowly becoming an enigma. I mean, it is not something that is commonly heard. Firstly, do you agree with this kind of popular perception? And if you
No,
do,
no, no.
is there a need to kind of take it to the masses or make it popular or something like that? Do you feel the need for that?
I should say yes, yes, because I'm too excited to answer this. Firstly, don't misunderstand me, but I am telling two, three things. I am not fond of Maya Drupad or Khyal or Tungi. I am fond of good music, first. Number two, some art which has become extinct, you cannot make that art alive again in that form. Okay. Number three, 20 years ago, I was not fond of Drupad. But later, I developed a taste after playing Surbahar. That I heard Guruji's Gundechar that one Madhwa in Ramkrishna Mission they sang is very popular now in YouTube. So when I was in class 7 or 8, they sang that in Ramkrishna Mission. Swamiji's 12th January, Swamiji's birthday. So I heard that rendition and I thought, I had hardly 3 years of sitar khatam at that time. So I thought this thing, cannot be played in sitar. But when I switched to Surbar and tried to play, I thought that, you know, those things can be understood, and if you get a good guide, you can do this. So I am fond of good music. The effect which both Ramakant Guruji, Pandit Nirmal Lode, Pandit Uday Bhavalkar, and all other Drupad giants, Falguni Mitraji, uh, if you hear their music, they had some sort of obscure, some sort of thing which is not present in other style, in Khyal style. That doesn't mean that Khyal is very low grade music. No, a good Khyal had taken many things from Drupad, from Kavali, from Thumri, and also, so you have to understand Khyal, you have to understand. If you want to play Surbahar, you have to understand Drupad, you have to understand Rudravina, you have to understand Susinga style, you have to understand Sarod, you have to understand Pakawaj. All are related. Only Drupad cannot save a musician. Drupad is a style of delivering. It's a style to deliver a type of dialogue. which your instrument is fit to converse. I cannot play sitar phrases. You will laugh. If I play sitar phrases in Surbahar, you will laugh. If I play in sitar Surbahar phrases, you will laugh
So at this point, Saurabh,
because it
there
will
is
not
a
suit.
question in
These are
the
these
comment
actually.
section.
Acha.
So please allow me to interrupt. So because it is related to what we are
Yes, yes.
talking about. So Shashwato Bhattacharya is asking, please let me know whether it is compulsory to have knowledge of sitar before learning Surbahar.
100%. But your Surbahar guru should teach you sitar, not your sitar guru.
Right.
Then he will take you
So,
to his style. Then the thing he wants to learn will not be successful. If your sitar guru is a good Surbahar player, is a if he had learned sitar Surbahar from any other great maestro or any other great teacher, then it's okay. Then you can learn from.
so again, back to what we were talking about. If there is any need to popularize Drupad or some such.
No, no need to popularize Drupad. If you want to know this the style uh, which is prevalent in nowadays, like Gundechar brothers, Udayji, all had established their own style. Drupad style, it should, the Drupad style should reflect from your character of playing, from your character also and character of playing also. You cannot play something, you cannot practice, and you play a very simple phrase and you say you're saying it's Drupad style. This will not work. Khyal style element denuded of uh, Murki and Jamjama by not practicing will not help. You have to learn the style that I want to mention. Then it's very easy. Just you have to learn, and you should have a good lifestyle, because in this style, in open Jawari, if you play, we believe your internal character portrays a lot, shows a lot, because you have to catch many shruti. You have to focus on some variant shrutis, some others, which is not needed in Banjwari style. In sitar music also.
Right. Uh, Swarnabha, please give me a minute. There is another question in the comment, but I think you have already answered it. So, is there any difference in playing Rudravina and Surbahar, especially the technique of playing? Mr. Shogato, please check out the middle of the interview. Saurabh has already answered this question. Uh, Swarnabha, you
Yes,
probably want to
I
ask the
think.
final question.
Yes, yes. I think we'll be concluding now with the last question. So, Dada, this is a very interesting question which I wanted to ask. So, you don't belong to a family of professional musicians as such.
Not at all.
Now, not belonging to a family of professional musicians, do you feel that you have faced some additional hindrance in establishing yourself within the music industry? Like anything,
Yes,
what people keep talking
yes,
about
a
all
lot
the
I have.
time.
A lot you have to face. You have to make your mind that you have to face many. It's not bed of roses. Drupad, Khyal, Sitar.
Absolutely.
You have to face. If you love your music, then you can very easily face those obstructions, and you can easily win. Ultimately, I should say.
Like we see a lot of artists who like recurrently complain
Yes,
about these.
because this music is not a very monetary satisfactory job in this age. If you stick to classical music, it's not a very monetary satisfactory job, because parents will not encourage to do only this. Previously, when Pandit Manilal Langji have been beaten by Gokul Langji to do only sitar, but now no other parent will do, because at that time Ravi Shankar ji was there, Mustaq Ali Khan sahab was there, great uh, persona were there. So, but now uh, after lockdown, or also previous during 2000, I think I can say after 2000, the scenario has totally changed. But I will not talk negative, but on in some sort of online music is happening after lockdown, like VUC and other concert projects which were not popular in before lockdown. Many good artists are getting opportunity. This was not this didn't happen profusely before lockdown, and it's a great boon, I should say, uh, to music lover and music practitioners. But it's not a very monetary satisfactory job, I should say. A student should do his studies, and simultaneously he can do. You know, one of my guru, I should say, Dr. Pradeep Chakraborty told that Ravi Shankarji told him practice from morning 4 to 7 and evening only 1 hour. And I have practiced those lessons. I can say up to a B high grade level, people can play. People can play if he practices like that. Maybe not like a great ustad, but later uh, if he want to do, if anyone want to do only music, then you have to uh, he have to sacrifice other jobs, and he has to do. But I'm again telling this is not a very monetary satisfactory job. So if I will suggest new generation to they should have some sort of other job. Otherwise, it will have some problem, and they cannot pursue music because uh, if you have to think always about money, when you will produce that good sound, when you will your mind will be it will not give that pure instruction. uh, there will be no your mentally you will be obstructed. That's I'm not a very good orator, sorry, uh, but I can say.
Then thank you so much, Dada, for agreeing to do this, and I'm sure, I mean, ourselves included, all of us learned so much from what you said today. So, thank you once more for being with us. We thank all our viewers for being with us. So, we shall conclude with a
Thanks a lot.
sitar performance from Saurabh. This is in Rag Kamod. This, by the way, is a very old performance. So,
Yes, I've seen
2010.
this way before.
2010 after coming from Germany, I played all Bengal music. That conference also
so,
stopped.
once more, I guess, namaskar, goodbye, and good night.
Namaskar.
Bye
I'm not a
bye.
good orator, but whatever I have tried to tell, I have tried. But talking is very easy, but producing music is much more tough, I should say. We
Indeed,
should
Dada.
concentrate more in music.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thanks.
Absolutely. So, on to the video then.
My namaskar.